Hey guys, it's Syama here, CEO of Scaling Retail. And today, as we're kind of talking about the market update and what's happening in the world of retail, I wanted to take a few moments just to kind of talk about what I've been noticing in the kinds of conversations that we've been having with different resource partners and kind of planning partners. Now, I was part of a really amazing, hey there, I was part of a really amazing panel with Hilden the other day. And what we were talking about was kind of the future of wholesale and what does the wholesale marketplace, what is it going to look like as we're moving into 2021, as we're even looking into later in this terms of fourth quarter. And what I think is really important here to recognize is, the wholesale distribution model is one that I think is always going to be there. As we're kind of thinking about the ways in which the industry is shifting and changing, we do have to keep in mind the fact that it is something that is going to still be a part of the consumer experience. So while direct to consumer is still this major player and it's going to continue to be, a very strong component as we move into 2021, more importantly than that, guys, is going to be how we look at our distribution partners kind of throughout the entire channel. So does that mean that 2021 is going to somehow incorporate for you, let's say, some wholesale partnerships? Are you going to be looking at drop shipment? Are you going to be looking at consignment? What are all the different components that you're going to be evaluating as you're thinking and kind of looking at distribution and wholesale on a much larger scale? So let's kind of unpack that a little bit. For the most part, guys, when it comes to thinking about how wholesale is operating or kind of the pluses and minuses to wholesale, one of the best things about wholesale, guys, is you actually have the opportunity to do business and get purchase orders without actually having to make any production. Now, while the direct-to-consumer model does give you more flexibility in terms of how you're looking at things, meaning it gives you more flexibility in terms of, product releasing at different dates. It gives you opportunities to kind of play with your release schedules, be more agile with your factories. When you are working in terms of wholesale distribution, you do get that financial certainty. You do get to have that kind of financial backup, knowing that those orders are going to be financed and knowing that those orders are going to go through. And thereby you can then add, let's say, another 5-10% to those orders to add them to your e-com distribution, or to simply leverage scale when it comes to those products as you're looking at developing, I would say, new additional exclusive styles for your e-com business. So looking at wholesale, what are some of the key components you're going to have to consider? Well, obviously, number one, you're going to want to be partnering and working with a factor who's going to help you on your accounts receivables. Now, why is that important? Well, chasing up accounts receivables and making sure that you are, doing well from that perspective it's tough from a cash flow standpoint. Do you have someone who's on accounts payable internally who's going to be able to kind of keep up those, basically chase those receipts for you after your product has delivered? So working with a company like Hilden or Rosenthal and Rosenthal, and there are a few others out there, what's nice about that is you guys are basically closing the order. You're essentially selling off the order you're selling that receivable over to the factor. And then what the factor is doing is basically chasing up that money and managing the entire payment schedule. And then you're basically getting a distribution from them. So if you haven't fully built out your own kind of internal channels in terms of how you're capacity building, looking at these different partnerships is going to become really important for you in terms of business planning and looking to scale up your organization. So financing becomes important when it comes to wholesale. And remember, there's differences between, getting a line of credit. There's difference between getting a purchasing loan, like a manufacturing loan, and there's also a difference between getting a factor. And so factoring has to do with purchasing with your purchase orders, right? They're basically buying off the purchase orders and the receipts. But if you need a line of credit or you need to borrow resources against manufacturing, that's going to be a different line of business, right? It's going to be a different way of looking at financial planning and resources. So make sure you kind of brush up, I'd say, a bit on your financial literacy in terms of what it takes on the side of the factors to be able to properly finance your step into wholesale. Because if you don't understand kind of the logistics component of it, or you don't understand the logistics component of it, then I think you end up finding yourself in a bit of a pickle, because now you're all of a sudden absorbing these orders, or you have orders that you need to take in, and then there's no way of understanding how that impacts your cash flow. So make sure, guys, you've got some good visibility on cash flow. Make sure you have some good visibility on who you're pitching to, and then understand, guys, that 2021 is going to be a very unusual time period for wholesale. Can you drop ship? Can you do consignment? Can you give better payment terms, right? Remember, your retail partners are ultimately, they're your friends, right? So they're the ones who we want to make sure that we are, that we're doing well by them and that they're doing well by us. So this is definitely the time and place to be doing better negotiation. It's the time and place to, being more like family. How do we all support each other as the world kind of gets back online, right? How are we getting back online, and what does that look like in a more robust way, right? So I think those things are really important. All right, guys, that is it for me in terms of what's happening this week and what's been on my mind. Hearing about how these digital wholesale trade shows have been going, it's been a little lackluster. I don't think actually from a online trade show perspective, no one's really reported back to me that there's been, a huge boom or a huge increase in terms of how sales and productivity are happening. As you guys have all been seeing, different brands have different activations for New York Fashion Week. A lot of video content is being produced. It's a weird time for our industry, especially in that wholesale retail landscape. So guys, as you're looking at positioning for next year, please make sure that you are developing a cohesive wholesale distribution strategy, so you don't find yourself in this kind of awful position of, being eager, being ready, but not knowing how to properly attract that buyer's attention, and then not knowing how to work within different payment terms and how to take advantage of leverage. As you guys have all been reading, and I've been paying close attention to, there are these new modalities of looking at how we're looking at kind of business planning, inventory management. And guess what? Your retailers are also looking at the same issues. So think about the ways in which your business models can be more synergistic to the retailers that you're pitching to. And even if you are banking on a strong DTC model, make sure you're building into your DTC model any potential extra wholesale components, right? And why is that? Well, wholesale is a costly endeavor, because think about it from the perspective of the retailer. They're marketing, doing photo shoots, pushing things out. I mean, it's definitely not an easy place to live and be in. So knowing what your expectations are from wholesale, knowing how to plan that properly, that's all going to really just save your tuchus in the long run. And guys, if any of you are exploring wholesale, exploring what those options are, please send me an email at hello@scalingretail.com. Myself or one of my team members would love to talk to you more. All right, guys, that's it. I will talk to you later. Bye.